The 27th of December, 1948. The night was calm. The world's largest passenger plane, the Douglas DC-3, was flying from Miami to Florida. There were 125 passengers on board and 9 crew members, a total of 130 for souls in the sky. Above the North Atlantic Ocean, at around 8,300 feet, the aircraft moved forward at a steady 180 miles per hour. Time, 8:13 p.m. Inside the cockpit, Captain Robert Miller and his co-pilot, watching everything calm, normal. Then suddenly, communication with San Juan Air Traffic Control began to weaken. Captain Miller reported a minor technical issue. That was his last voice ever heard. Within 10 seconds, the aircraft vanished from ATC radar forever, the last known location right in the heart of the Bermuda Triangle. What happened that night was far more terrifying than a simple technical failure. The plane had flown straight into a monstrous vortex, unlike anything ever seen or heard of before. In the blink of an eye, chaos erupted inside the cabin. Screams. Panic. Captain Miller fought with all his strength to control the plane, but it was too late. The storm swallowed the aircraft, tossing it like a child's toy. All electronics, dead. Compass, dead. Radar, dead. The plane was no longer in human control. It flew blindly, driven only by the storm's fury. For almost half an hour, they battled the killer vortex, and then the plane burst out of the storm's grip. But all around them, only endless ocean. Engines still dead. The aircraft slowly dropping. Then the co-pilot saw it, an island, a strange, untouched island. Everyone knew death was only seconds away. The plane smashed into a massive, ancient tree. The tree's thick branches caught the plane like a giant net, and that miracle saved 130 for lives. Inside the plane, cries, sobs, groans of pain. Captain Robert Miller, his head bleeding from a panel strike, regained consciousness. In an instant, he was on his feet. "Stay calm," he shouted, his voice firm, steady, reassuring. Among the passengers, a retired Army doctor, Dr. Evelyn Reed. Without wasting a second, she rushed to the injured. 10 people, severely hurt, a broken arm, a fractured leg, 2 with deep head wounds, the rest in shock, but alive. One by one, they climbed down from the wreckage, and then the realization hit them. They were stranded on an island that existed on no map. All around, dense jungle, bizarre plants, and an unsettling silence. The first and biggest challenge, water. Everyone was thirsty, desperate, but nowhere was there a river, a spring, or even a sign of fresh water. Their only hope now, rain. Captain Miller, drawing from years of experience, divided everyone into groups. One group to search the wreckage for food, medicine, and anything useful. The other to help build a temporary shelter. Using broken seats, metal sheets, and giant leaves, they made a crude roof. Anything to protect them from the night's cold and possible rain. That first night, huddled together in darkness, one question burned in every heart. Would anyone come to find them? Would they ever leave this island? Morning came, but it didn't bring hope. It brought a new challenge. Food, and fire. The little food salvaged from the plane wouldn't last long. They had to search the island for fruits, for anything edible. But there was a problem. They didn't know which fruits were safe and which could kill. In desperation, an older man picked a strange fruit from a nearby tree. He ate it. Hours later, he collapsed. His body convulsed. His screams tore through the camp. And then, silence. The first death on the island. It shook everyone to their core. Fear spread. Tension rose. Captain Miller and Dr. Evelyn worked to calm the group. That evening, a teenage boy, curious and clever, had an idea. He took the lens from his glasses, focused the sunlight on dry leaves. For hours, nothing. Then, a thin trail of smoke, and suddenly, a spark. Fire. For them, it was victory. It was life. Fire meant cooked food, warmth at night, and protection from wild animals. Meanwhile, Arthur Vance, an engineer on the flight, worked tirelessly on the broken radio. After hours of repairs, he managed to send a weak signal, a plea for help. Their last known coordinates. No reply came. The battery died. Their only link to the outside world. Gone. Days passed. 10 days in, hope began to fade. And one night, while everyone slept, for young men and one young woman stole a small raft built from the wreckage. They sailed into the dark ocean. They were never seen again. What happened to them remains a mystery. The 5 who left never returned. Their disappearance, a chilling warning to those who stayed. The truth was clear. They might be here for a long time. Captain Miller gathered everyone. They needed a system, a plan to survive. Teams were formed. One team to search the jungle daily for food and fruit. Another to repair and strengthen the shelter. Dr. Evelyn and a few volunteers to care for the injured and sick. Far away, the U.S. government launched the largest search operation in history. The Atlantic Ocean was scoured inch by inch, but not a single trace of the plane was found. After a week of searching, the operation slowed. On the island, life adapted. They had learned to shape metal scraps and stones into knives and spears. But there was a threat: wild boars. They roamed in herds and attacked the camp at night. Among the survivors, a professional hunting trainer. He taught them how to throw spears, how to set traps. After days of planning, they hunted their first boar. It was brutal. 2 men were injured, but when they returned with the kill, it wasn't just food. It was victory. It was proof they could survive. Using broken coconuts, they spelled the word help in huge letters on the beach, hoping a passing plane or ship might see it. Weeks turned into months. The word help on the beach faded under the wind and waves. Their bodies grew thinner, cheekbones sharpened, eyes hollowed. Some fell sick. Fever burned through them to died. The sea became their grave. In silence, they wrapped the bodies in leaves, placed them on bamboo rafts, pushed them into the endless blue. The group grew quieter. Jokes disappeared. Songs faded. But life still found a way. One morning, Maria, a young woman among the survivors, gave birth to a baby girl. There was no doctor, no medicine, only hands and hope. The cries of the newborn broke the heavy silence of the island. She became their light, their reason to keep going. Still, food was running out. The jungle's fruits were fewer. Boars had grown cautious. Some suggested building a raft, sailing out, but Captain Miller refused. The ocean is death, he said. We wait every night. They lit fires on the beach every night. No one came. The night was heavy. Clouds swelled like dark mountains. The wind began to howl. Waves crashed harder, louder, closer. Captain Miller's eyes narrowed. Storm's coming, he muttered. By midnight, the sky split open. Rain poured down like an endless waterfall. Lightning stabbed the ocean. Thunder shook the ground. The survivors clung to their shelters, but the wind ripped them apart like paper. Palm trees bent until they cracked. The help sign on the beach, gone, washed away. The fire, their only beacon, smothered by the rain. Boats they had made from bamboo snapped in two. Maria held her baby tight, shielding her from the cold water. The child's cries were lost in the roar of the storm. Then, a giant wave struck. It tore through their camp, dragging supplies into the ocean. Food, tools, all gone by dawn. The storm was over, but the island was no longer the same. The jungle was flooded, the beach unrecognizable, and the survivors were back to nothing. Only the baby's small breath reminded them they were still alive. The days after the storm were the hardest yet. No food, no fire, no hope. Every stomach groaned, every face sunken. The ocean mocked them, full of fish they couldn't catch. One by one, the weaker survivors collapsed. Captain Miller forced himself to stand. If we stay here, he said, we die here. That night, as the moon hid behind clouds, a strange glow appeared in the jungle. Not fire, not lightning. Something else. A pale, bluish light, moving slowly, steadily. The survivors froze. It weaved through the trees like it was searching for something, or someone. No sound, just light, until it vanished. Fear spread like poison. But Miller, he saw it differently. If there's light, he said, there's life. The next morning, he announced his plan. We build a raft, he told them. We follow the current until we find where that light came from. The risk was clear. The sea was merciless, but so was the island. By sunset, the survivors began working, hands bleeding, hearts pounding, because this was their last chance. Dawn, the sky, a dull gray. The raft sat on the sand, tied together with rope, vines, and hope. Waves hissed against the shore like they were warning them. The survivors stepped on board. Every creak of the bamboo sounded like a prayer. Maria clutched her baby. Captain Miller took the oar. No one spoke. They just pushed off. The island shrank behind them. The ocean opened ahead, vast, Endless, silent. Hours passed. The sun rose higher. Their lips cracked. Then, a shape appeared on the horizon. At first, just a shadow. Then, a shimmer. The same pale blue glow they had seen in the jungle. It floated closer, brighter, until it lit up the waves around them. But it wasn't coming from the water. It was coming out of it. A metal structure covered in rust, half sunken. Letters still visible on the side. USS Arcadia. An old military ship. Abandoned. But lights still burned inside. Miller's voice cracked. This shouldn't be here. They climbed aboard. Inside, rows of untouched food. Dry rooms. Medical supplies. It was salvation, but also a mystery, because on one wall, a fresh message was scrawled in red paint. We are coming back. Don't be here when we do. Silence. Only the hum of the ship's old generators. The survivors stared at the red letters. Each word felt heavier than the last. We are coming back. Who were they? And why? The warning. Maria stepped forward, her voice barely a whisper. Maybe they're good people. Captain Miller shook his head. Good people don't write messages in blood. The baby whimpered. The sound echoed down the empty corridor. Somewhere in the ship, a clunk. Metal on metal. Everyone froze. The noise came again, dot closer, dot slow. Deliberate. Miller signaled them to move. They slipped into a storage room. He shut the door, gently. Inside, the air was thick, smelled of oil and salt. Through a crack, they watched the hallway. A shadow appeared, long distorted, like it didn't belong to a human. It stopped, turned its head, listening. Then, footsteps, moving away. The group exhaled, but relief lasted only seconds, because from the other end of the hallway, another shadow appeared. This one, shorter, carrying something sharp. Miller whispered, "We can't stay. We take what we can and leave." Now, they grabbed food, water, a compass, slipped back to the raft. The ship loomed behind them, quiet again. But as they paddled away, a light flickered in the highest deck window, and for just a second, a pale face stared out at them. Not smiling, not angry, just watching.